Hello and welcome, as it is the 7th day of January 2018. My name is Derek. Everything is within your own risk, own reward. Let's take a look at a few codes just for something to do. I'm looking at possible day trades, and I'm looking at coins I already own and to see if I can just make sense of these markets. This is RDD. In that of Litecoin, and this is the 30-minute time frame. The cautionary point of view for any type of top is failing the 18 average correctionary phase, which when we look at this in here, successful through time. It was obviously successful among this one. It's okay for this to pierce below as this has, but it has obviously developed major support. Seeing the market break down from here may be a situation where we may see even further decline going forward thereafter. All right then. The last move in which it had, at least from point A to point B, and we'll define point A as a high point and B as a low point. Fibonacci upside came in pretty close to this top, roughly around here. Therefore, the Fibonacci from the new point A and point B is in at 206. 206. So closer to 208, I am thinking to put a sell order in. And then, of course, decide later if it's something that I want to buy back. Now, this is an interesting chart when we look at this on a more longer-term time frame. And this is the logarithmic look of the weekly time frame on the Bittrex exchange. On the TradingView platform, they do not do well with their logarithmic numbers, but numbers are below 100 Satoshi. The support found amongst resistance of the year 2016 and the area which it was, there was the hanging, well, 2014, 2015. But regardless of the fact it's up to the key previous level, and it's not that much above such. So I can calculate some Fibonacci upside again. What we're going to do is I'm looking for a market that goes up, has a price correction, thus making a higher low, usually where it came back from. And this thing is just doing it by the book. But there's the low and there's the high. So let's get the calculation in gear. I'll even find what the numbers are, and they are 88 and 8. That's the high. The high in 2017 at the earlier stages, 88, the low, 8. Fibonacci upside target 387 is the upside target for Litecoin. Move on next to Cloak, C-L-O-K, against the Bitcoin chart. This is the weekly time frame. And I'm going to draw the rectangular square line because that's what I like to do. So this was their trading range of 2015 and into 16. And after the gain last year, the gain mounted to a move to previous high. Oh, it got above it, but you know what though? Whether it's a bit below, a bit above, it sure as heck did not hold or stay above it. And it even tested that level on 2 different occasions, and it's working towards a third one right now. But this third one is coming after it already came back to this area for support. The long term is holding and staying above here. Ever since it broke out in here, that's what you're looking for it to do. Now that it found this low, has made a move to this point in here, now you want to hold and stay above a key level. I'll look for the 18 average on that. I'll look at previous resistance and support. So this line in here is where I want to see it hold and stay above. This tells me that it's short term. There could easily be some more pullback to this area. and then later on getting above these areas pretty big. Now the key thing here is holding and staying above those big resistance level area fields. So I'm going to draw again yet another, just a square for I think that good area. So you can see that's where it resisted. So holding and staying above even where it's at now. Long term, doing it for, on this I'd be looking at about 9-12 periods. So we're looking at about 3 months. If I can hold and stay above that for 3 months, watch out, this thing would be ready to go. Short term, let's take a quick look at this. And when I take a look at a chart like this, I know instantly what I am seeing. I know Fibonacci retracement on the highs and lows is going to be very important. I see that the market has already broken support and has now making its move up to this declining average. So very, very short term, holding around in here, definitely holding above the previous low is going to be important, because the next stage within this is having, of course, this band flatten out, working towards getting above it. So what's the high, what's the low, what's the Fibonacci? I'll calculate that now. And we're looking at 118 and 74. Now 118, it's a pierce above, which is pretty much just a hit, but it's odd that it happens in cryptos. Usually it's the opposite. If this support level though doesn't hold, then the next key area down towards here would be in at this point down towards here. I've been normally trading this against Litecoin. Right now the Litecoin market that I trade is down, so for now I'm just going to just keep this on a hold without any look right now to accumulate more. Let's move on to the next chart. And this will be KMD representing that of Komodo. And are we in the midst of a failed move, fast move? So market psychology. This is the 400-minute time frame, but going from this rally, just a huge move. So it's got to make its correctionary play. It's got to correct at some point, and it did. It established support right there, because after it bottomed there on 2 separate occasions, it had a significant rally, enough to counter it as such. And thus, earlier on, there's the break below, and of course back higher and above the 18 average. Also on note is when this happens, you get a lot of people who play by the book and are like, okay, breaking down below here, this is where I want to sell, this is where I want to have my stop loss. And I don't talk much about, oh, place your stop here. And I definitely don't say I'm placing a stop here, because I don't place stops at all. But these are spots where you do, well, it looks like you are in a losing position, having to rebuy back relatively, even now, because I own this position, so I don't need to buy. But if you're looking to get in, you see the signs of the failed move, fast move coming into place. And where do I expect it to find support short term if that's the pattern? Well, it came down from this low. That's where the 18 average is. So short term, there might be a little bit of further decline in here. But it wouldn't surprise me later on when this thing gets going that it could easily break this resistance. So I'll have to take a look at a longer term chart to see, okay, what then? And this is the two-day chart. Oh, how about failed move, fast move? Can you see it on this chart? It needs to break a very big level of support. And then don't stay there long and then just fly afterwards. Yeah, it just happened. Because if I draw just a random line, and it's not random, roughly around here, there's the pattern for failed move, fast move to the opposite direction. So seeing it in here, you can't be surprised. It has done what it has done. So therefore, we're looking at a market based based on many days last year in which it held this successfully. It also is now in a third area where it has been resisting. We have this point in here, and then of course the current one. What's important is to hold and stay above what a key level would be. Well, what was the next level of resistance? There we have it in here. So far within this current correctionary move, it's doing just that. And I will be calculating some Fibonacci upside. I'm going to use this high. I'm not going to use the failed move low. Rather, I'm going to use the major key low. So let's calculate this. And that gives me an upside target at about 250,000 Satoshi. 0.00 or the 0025 as an upside target. Next up is Omi's Go. OMG. And when this thing came out, it went down and down and down some more. And well, that's stopped. Let's talk about failed move, fast move. Yeah, it's this move down towards here. But notwithstanding the fact that we have this resistance level, resistance again, now acted as support with this level of resistance already established. Market momentum seems as if the next stage is a move up towards here, probably going, finding support here or continuation above resistance, and well, breaking next above there. It's really hard, I think, for me to use this as a top as far as Fibonacci would be concerned. But just using simple look and how you're doing, it's going to make a move of, well, let's see, what was some previous one. This one went up from this, yeah, about that. So from this low, you could be looking at maybe somewhere up towards here. That's just playing with this paint program, and or just distance from high to low. And I do like how this thing is forming going forward. I think it's got a good positive expectation, but I think a lot of alternate coins and cryptos in general do right now. Now let's move on to OK Cash, something that really hasn't been doing so well recently, at least when you compare this to other alternate coins. Since the last big move in September, to say support has been established would be an understatement. So obviously any failure within how it's playing after this rise, and this is where support would come in. We've already talked about all the failed move, fast move. So if any situation in the future were to arise where it comes down below here, quickly gets above back towards in a pattern like this, then you see something like that at that stage, you'd be expecting prices to come way up there fast. That's how markets seem to play out. And I'm not saying it just for this code, but anytime you see a pattern of the like. Now, as far as how current analysis plays after a move from point A to point B, it's important to hold the key level. So the last time in which it had this situation of trying to hold and it didn't was this move in here. There's the failure in here, breaking below, resisting it, and so forth. But if this 18 average area does hold, there's been a couple small days of upward momentum, nothing big, but getting in above this higher area, that it's just looks poised for good gains. And just a simple thing, it's not even really even knowing about caring about the charts. You don't need to. Understanding math is so important. These markets always go up faster than they go down, and when they go up, it's like, wow, we can see at the left hand side of the chart what this one has done. But within the long term of this this chart, it's down a little bit from these peaks, which is an advantage in trying to find stuff compared to what's already been pumped over the recent time frame. But it's making this pattern of higher highs and higher lows. And it seems as if now that it's either poised where it's got to go up soon, or it would be the end of the trend, and definitely concerns breaking below here. This thing has held up pretty good, that unless it's a failed breakdown, fast move higher, I don't think that would take place. I think this one, compared to other ones, is in good shape because of only for the fact that it's doing almost everything seems to be going up, and it's got a good long-term time frame movement so far. Now let's take a look at Power Ledger, POWR, which has had this recent down move within this short-term placing and makes it to the 18 average. Now just recently on this 400-minute time frame, getting and right now holding, staying above this 18 average of highs. Short term, where did it last come from? That's obvious right here. So if you're looking for any best deals available within the trend, that's where I think support should be found in any type of moves going forward. But as an exit of this 18 average, I think would have a good chance of breaking past this resistance and featuring another leg higher. Now let's move on to GRS. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. Never try, do I, to pronounce this code. But we take a look at the movements before. Where were some key levels? Where resistance, the level here, happen up in here, and it's close to it there. But I find what's important is for it to hold and stay above, what, even a little bit lower than that. This little area here, it could go lower to it and still be there, but if it does such, that consolidates, congests in areas that didn't do so much time, resistance is going to be powerful. It already is, because the first time it did so, there were several periods where it resisted it. Then after a decent move, it came back towards it. And if you have more hits at it, it strengthens that level. But where it's at now, important for this to hold. But when you see that, when you have areas where it went up to and had sharp corrections down, but now the corrections aren't as sharp, and then the energy of focus within it, that when it's ready to break, that's when you can oftentimes have explosive moves, sort of like what happened here, and even at the earlier part of the chart as well. Now let's move on to GNT, another one that's been down quite a bit, has had an okay, decent momentum so far, but from the direction or the correction that it had before, just a huge down move. Since then, it's had a good gain in its first correctionary phase occurring right now. Since the red moved down, a little bit of green momentum, but getting up above these areas in here, I think that this could have the legs to continue its uptrend. Next up is LBC, or library credits. What I said with GNT, that's pretty much the exact same thing. It's now leaving its 18 average. Now it did correct the 18 average of highs for quite some time, very beautifully here. And a little bit of two red candle moves lower on this particular time frame, the daily chart, and yeah, getting above here. Maybe it comes and tests this area. I could always calculate some key Fibonacci from this point, and this will really go to show you how not much of a log chart this is, even though it says it's such. 4770, and then about a little over 10,000 key levels, so it's already gotten into here. It looks as if this thing is going to be poised to make a move up to about, well, over 10,000. Because as we can see on the Bittrex chart, that it has had a better move, and the level, this even makes sense, because 61.8 should be up here. So let me recalculate it on these numbers. And it all checks out, but the 10,000 and change level would be, I would expect at least to move to 12 or 13,000 at least to as it continues forward. I'm going to end the video, and thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.